Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reality Transformation Gathering, where we are bridging ancient wisdom and modern science to change the world together. This gathering will be a 5-day expansive exploration of the recent breakthrough discoveries in the sciences and quantum theory, psychedelic research, and near-death experience studies, as well as profound and time-tested ancient wisdom from shamanic traditions, indigenous cosmologies, and knowledge from far ancient cultures around the world. I am Jocelyn Starfeather. I'll be your host and guide for the Reality Transformation Gathering. And today I am truly delighted and honored to be here with Kedar Brown. Welcome, Kedar. Thank you so much for being part of our.
Thank you, Jocelyn. It's exciting to be here. Looking
Yes.
forward to our conversation.
Yes, so wonderful to have you here. So I will share a little bit more about your work, Kedar, as we begin. Kedar Brown is the founder and director of Rites of Passage Council, an organization offering deep nature ceremonial encampments around the world. He is an internationally known ceremonialist, healer, intuitive, and teacher of psychological and spiritual awareness with over 35 years of professional experience. Over this time, Kedar has developed an effective and unique approach to emotional and spiritual healing by braiding together his depth of clinical knowledge of experiential psychotherapies with more nature-based indigenous wisdom teachings and healing methods from around the world. In 1994, Kedar apprenticed with Stephen Foster and Meredith Little at School of Lost Borders in the Sierra Nevada mountains in the form and process of the Vision Quest ceremony and eco-psychology. He has also apprenticed for many years with Malidoma Somé, PhD, initiated elder and shaman of the Dagara tribe of Burkina Faso, West Africa. Kedar has also had the honor and privilege to learn many valuable insights into healing from his apprenticeship with Cherokee elder and medicine person Will Rocking Bear. And Kedar, your topic of your interview today is sacred site activation and cowrie shell divination. So, could you begin by giving us an understanding of this idea of sacred high sense perception, and how do you teach people to help activate that as it relates to this theme of the cowrie shell divination?
Yes. I'm really excited about this topic. One of my favorite discussion points and rabbit hole dissensions into this realm of activating what I call activating sacred sight and strengthening your muscles of intuitive high sense perception and really understanding which particular pathways of receiving information are personal and strong within each person that I work with. Um, so I wanted to begin with a little definition, and I do it mostly through Cowry Shell divination work. I practice a practice of divining that I learned from Melodoma Somé back in 2003, and so I've been doing that work for all these years, and essentially replaced my practice as a psychotherapist, which faded away over the years, and this became the replacement of that because I found it's just way more impactful and helpful for people, and didn't require as much time and money for people either. So,
Yes.
so I want to share a definition that I came up with in regards to what is this thing called cowrie shell divination, and then later how it relates to high sense perception and intuitive tracking and all of that. So I'm going to share my screen with you.
Yes.
This is a definition I put together of cowrie shell divination. It really speaks to the essence of how it happens and what happens. And it says divination is active conversation between the worlds on behalf of another, the crossroads where nature, community, ancestors, and spirit allies join together for the purpose of offering a more transgenerational and spiritually diagnostic understanding of the situation at hand in order to activate healing, memory, and connection in both worlds. The elementals like fire, water, earth, mineral, nature The elementals are the active ingredients that enable these rituals to deliver their medicinal potency in affecting change. And the ancestors and other helping spirits assist the middle world in the ritual choreography and precision of timing. And then to share some of Melodoma's words about how he understands and how he taught me to understand healing. He says, from an indigenous perspective, the individual psyche can be healed only by addressing one's relationship with the visible worlds of nature and community and one's relationship with the invisible forces of the ancestors and spirit allies. It is in ritual that nature, community, and the spirit world come together to, to support the inner building of identity. So I'm going to offer those defining concepts of words to wrap around this understanding of divination work, particularly this form of divination work. Let me switch back to the screen here. So I'm not going to go into a lot of the scientific understandings. I'm just going to jump right into the world of the practice of it.
Wonderful.
Um, I will give you some of the founding principles that are somewhat scientific in nature, and you can explore more of those if you want. Um, so we're talking about communication with um, what's generally called helping spirits, could be ancestral or otherwise, on behalf of another to assist them in healing and assist their ancestors in healing as well. Um, and so some of the founding principles that I would say are active here in this type of work um, that I draw from some of my other teachings. Um, so expanded perspectives on reality, consciousness, and relationship and healing. This is taken from a different training manual, but it applies to divination work. So we're shifting our constructs of understanding when we work with people and whatever challenges or situations they present, shifting from a pathological perspective to much more of a mythological perspective. And the use of what I call medicine wheel spiritual technology, as you'll see when we do a demonstration at the end of this conversation with Jocelyn. The medicine wheel is the the foundation that the reading occurs on. So understanding medicine wheel healing and work with medicine wheel is like foundational to understanding how this process of divination work. The other thing that's foundational is animism, and that is really this shift from more of an subject object relations of psychology to much more of a living animistic understanding of reality. This is like it's necessary to hold that perspective of reality to be able to offer this kind of work. Because in animism, everything becomes alive, everyone becomes your teacher. Um, and so it's a potent lens to look through. Uh, the other is a shamanism as a core belief in being able to offer this work and understanding helping spirits and ancestors. Um, and then others that call the unity principle, that there's connection between nature, body, spirit, community, ritual, and the emotions and the morphogenic field, like really accessing information from the morphogenic field. And words like morphogenic field are, of course, more physics oriented, and you can delve into those worlds more if you want to learn more about that. And the other is what I call the holographic principle, um, which is really everything reflects everything. And it's another way of holding reality when working with somebody doing divination work, really any healing work, um, that each separate thing in and of itself is a complete reflection of the other. And when I say that, a good way to think about this is if you're looking in a mirror at yourself and you take the mirror off the wall and drop it on the floor and it shatters, every fragmented piece of that mirror still reflects the whole image when you hold it back far enough. And that's the understanding of a holographic principle of reality, is that in this realm of divination work or in any kind of healing work, um, any one thing reflects the entire story. And there's ways that we'll get into the teach about how to access that information. The term I use from Barbara Brennan's teaching is high sense perception, and how to access your own methods of high sense perception. And we call this the holographic connections and access routes of perceiving, and how it comes through to you, where it's imaginal or physical or um, what I say, all the clairs, clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and so on. Um, and then transgenerational healing, in the role of working with ancestors and working with your four bloodlines. Um, so those are core principles that are foundational to this understanding of sacred site activation and how to work with it.
Amazing. Thank you, Cater. And just a side note, we do have another interview in the conference from Rupert Sheldrake where he talks the whole time about the morphogenic field. So everybody can reference that if they want to know more about that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
It's fascinating.
it's something I made a decision some time ago not to focus on teaching people about the physics of the psychic field, or the physics of intuitive perceiving, because there's plenty of that out there, and I'll just kind of jump right over to doing it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
I love
let's.
the I really love that how you showed that the reframe from the pathological to the mythological. And I mean, I think, I mean, this is, I know, so core to the work that you do, but this is so key to healing what's happening in our world right now, to see that there's not something wrong with us. We're just
Right.
living our mythology. Each of us is an individual, right? We're living our own mythology. And that
Yes, yes.
completely changes the frame of reference.
Right. You're not in need of fixing. You're simply in need of different navigational tools and guides. You're not broken, and that's the shift from pathology to mythology. Is that to recognize when somebody is in a soul descent? They don't need fixing. They need navigational tools and helpful guides that have walked that pathway before them. Help them find a way across that landscape of uncertainty, because that's a very potent time for them, for remembering of their gifts and medicine and encounters with um, helpful guides along the way. There's so much there that we don't take the approach that it needs fixing.
Yeah,
Um, our
right.
culture, our society doesn't really allow time for those kind of passages. We often want to hurry up the threshold, get across quickly. Um, and yet that's the sacred time. That's Jesus in the desert, Buddha under the Bodhi tree, Crazy Horse out in the desert, on Vision Quest. It's like those are the moments that need to be ritualized and ceremonialized to access the potency that lives within those landscapes of uncertainty, as opposed to fixing them. And
Right, right. Yes, and we don't want to stay on just the surface level. We're kind of taught to try to escape from those scary
mhm,
places or those dark nights of the soul. I'm putting
right.
scary in air quotes, right? So,
Right.
but we need to go into those sometimes
Yes.
in life.
Yeah.
And like you
Turn,
said,
turn, turn
we,
into the wind, turn into the dark night, with assistance.
Mhm.
That's the other challenge, is often people turn into those moments without assistance. And those initiatory processes are deadly. Um, and certainly, can people can die. That can certainly happen either accidentally or intentionally. without, if they tend to pathologize it and see, oh, there's something wrong with me, as opposed to having somebody help them uh, uncover their own personal mythology that's unfolding here, um, that's kind of embedded in their own astrological blueprint of who they are, and how our life experiences initiate us more deeply into those blueprints of awareness that are encoded in the stars and within our system. Um, so it's yeah, it's giving time for the initiatory journey. We'll talk about that later. And I'll shift toward this some of the teachings that I offer on the activation of sacred sight. So this comes out of my training session here that I do on Cowry Shell Divination. My pages there. So we're not going to go through every page, but there's a number of them I wanted to share with you. Um, so this is an old Irish proverb I love because it really speaks to the essence of doing this work. That's what is broken in this world can only be healed from the other world, and what is broken in the other world can be only healed from this world. And we said that ritual and divination work is a conversation between the worlds to enact healing and change in both worlds. So that's the essence of where we headed here. Um, so how do you activate this thing called sacred sight or high sense perception? Like, what is that, and how do you turn it on with intention? Um, and so first, we want to identify what is our mind usually doing. Um, my teacher Rocking Bear used to say, the job of the mind is not to run your life; it is to record information um, that you will need at a later time when you go to look for it, or to strategize a plan of action for something you see coming down the road. Um, and other than that, your mind should not be running your life. Your awareness and your present attention, the quality of your attention. So let's look at, I'm going to jump through these training pages to this page here. These are kind of the general five states of mind that we all have, we all um, struggle with, and at times can acquire. But there's that initial kind of restless, wondering, can't focus attention type of mind. Often when I take people into the wilderness and disconnect them from their technology and their watches and their time references, their mind starts spinning even faster because it doesn't have a distraction. And it takes a while for that wondering, that restlessness, inability to focus to kind of fade away. It's like a detoxing, so that your energy system eventually vibrates at the frequency that nature is vibrating at. And it like helps one's nervous system slow down. It's the power of wilderness therapy essentially. The other is more of a what they call a stupefied or dulled awareness. So it's the opposite of the restlessness, but the same as being distracted differently, where your mind is not processing the moment. It's just kind of dulled, or like a wet blanket has been thrown over your awareness. And so it creates a distractedness. Um, if you were to sit in nature, it would take a bit of time before that general feeling of distractedness kind of faded away. And then we move toward this ability to access high sense perception. It begins with the ability to have a pointed, constant flow of awareness toward one thing for any length of time. Meditation practice, sitting in nature and focusing all your awareness on a single tree or stone or leaf, or flower or something where you're holding that awareness on that one thing. And then the stillness, that type of stillness equals clarity, a completely focused intuitive wisdom arises out of witness mind. And this now we're getting to how do you access levels of high sense perceiving of non-ordinary reality? Well, you have to get to this place where um, the stillness brings about a clarity and a complete focus where your wisdom and intuitive awareness arises from your witnessing mind, not your efforting mind. Um, let's talk about this thing Barbara Brennan calls high sense perception. And I added remote tracking. So, high sense perception is one's ability to perceive things that are non ordinary, beyond the range of what we consider uh, normal. Um, so, I say when perceiving high sense perception visually, um, it works better for me to close my eyes rather than keep them open and let my um, intuitive imaginal scene replace visual stimulation. It's another way I think, also think about the word imagination. It's what I teach a lot is that with all the things going extinct on the planet, one of the under recognized things that are going extinct on the planet is imagination. And imagination, not as in creating, distractible false narratives of interesting topics, but imagination as the realm or the landscape of how spirit talks to us. Like it has to have a form of interaction. And I say imagination and inspiration are those avenues where we're being tapped on the shoulder, shown something. So it go on to say that normal perception operates through the body's perceptual organs and nervous system, and high sense perception operates through the human energy fields, perceptive organs, which are part of the chakras, and those interact with the morphogenic field. We can access other forms of information. So this cultivating, opening those pathways of perceiving, let's say cultivating receptive awareness, begin with gratitude. It's one of the things I learned in working with Rockenbeer and doing many healing sessions with my Cherokee elder teacher. Um, when we would be doing a healing with somebody and they would say, well, what do I do while this is going on? He would just say, be grateful, not for us doing this. Be in a state of gratitude because gratitude is a state of openness and receptivity. Um, so when you begin the work, you move into a state of gratitude. You clarify what you want to focus on and know. Um, I like to say, what you turn your attention to will turn its attention to you. So your intent and the quality of your attention is what opens up that communication. Um, and then you ask for help, ask for assistance. This is, the concept of the hollow bone. It's that this idea that you can't do this as just an ordinary human person, um, but it is your relationship with those sources of wisdom and power and compassion that enable it to happen. So it's not coming from you, it's coming through you. It's relational. So you ask for help. In doing divination, I will call in my assistants and I will call in the guides of the person I'm working with. Then you form your intent and single pointed focus of what you're wishing to gather, the information you're seeking. When I say make a kinesthetic connection with the energy field of the other, it can actually be physical if they're present with you, or energetic. Doesn't require their physical presence, but to make a connection with the other, whether it's a human you're working with or land that you're working with. Um, and then move into a receptive state and allow the information to unfold into your awareness. And this is the place I find that most people miss when activating intuitive perceiving, is that for them it becomes an efforting to see something, to hear something, to get something, and that's not the that can be problematic to be efforting. The clearer way is once you form the intent and the connection is then you relax back and you start tracking what's coming to you, what's coming into your high sense perceptual pathways of receiving. Um, so I'll share a couple of stories here. Let me drop off. And I'll just say that before I leave this particular information, once you do that, you move back and forth between the active focus and the receptive awareness as you're doing a reading or tracking. Um, so a quick story. Let's see which one comes to mind. Okay, I was at a therapy workshop one time, and they were teaching about sitting with somebody and without asking any questions, just kind of gathering what you could gather simply by sitting across from somebody, not saying a word. And they said, spend like 2 minutes just sitting with somebody, don't say a word. And then after that 2 minutes, tell them everything that you think about them that came to you. Um, so I decided I would up the ante. So when the person came and sat in front of me, I closed my eyes so I'd have no visual information coming in other than that they just sat down. And then I focused my intent, like in the information, focused my intent toward them. And then I relaxed back and I started noticing what's coming into my system. And we'll talk about different places. So there's physical. I notice what's going on physically, emotionally, images, intuitive awarenesses, and this just starts coming into my system. And so what I noticed, um, the first thing I noticed is a slight pain in my neck and in my hip and in my left ankle. And it's like, okay, that wasn't there. It's another important question when you're intuitively reading and gathering information. Always ask the question, is this mine? Don't make the assumption that what you're experiencing is simply yours because you're experiencing it. So I tracked these three physical sensations of a little pain here and hip and the ankle. And then I saw an image just all of a sudden came in my mind of this man on a sailboat out on what looked like maybe the Chesapeake Bay or somewhere like that. And he was just in the sun. He was smiling. He was like in his joy. And I watched that for a moment. And then we opened our eyes. The thing was over. And the question is, so what'd you get? Um, And I said, well, I noticed this pain here in my left hip and my left ankle it wasn't there before you sat down. And then his jaw drops open. He says, like 3 weeks ago, I fell off a ladder and I landed on my left side and I injured my neck and my hip and my ankle.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Yeah, I felt that.
Wow.
Um, and then the other thing I saw was you on the sailboat and just really happy. And he said, yeah, I've been kind of depressed for a while. And I used to sail and I loved it. And I said, you need to get back out there. Like, that's your happy place. Get out on the water, go sailing. There's something that happens between you and the wind and the water that is healing. Um, and so this way of focusing intent and then relaxing back and tracking, is this mine? Is it visual? Is it kinesthetic? Is it auditory? Um, all the different pathways of perceiving through the normal senses all of a sudden are heightened because you're receiving information not through your normal sensory system, but it's a higher sense receiving that happens. Um,
I love that story. That's really cool.
yeah, I mean, there's so many. We've all had experiences like, I mean, and we're talking about the morphogenic field, right? But when you form an intent and a focus, you're accessing certain things from that field related to that person.
Mhm.
If you focus on seeing ancestral helping spirits or focus on seeing the dead, I mean, I've had those experiences where I just put my focus there and all of a sudden I see, not with my eyes, but with a higher sense perception, images of deceased people. And then I'll ask people. And it really is a practice. Most people say, well, I can't do that. I said, well, you can. There's actually a practice we do in our training where after teaching these methods and doing some practices around them, I'll have half the group blindfold themselves, and the other half choose somebody to go stand in front of, but don't say a word. They can't see you. They probably won't even hear you, but I want you to step up in front of them about 4 feet away and maybe 3 feet, but not closer than three, and just stand there. And then I'll walk the people that are blindfolded through that process of intent, focused intent, and relaxed receiving. And then they take off their blindfolds and tell the person everything they got. And they never saw that. And it is incredible. People are so surprised about what they pick up. And it's like, how could I have known that? So it truly is a muscle you can exercise. And most people have a particular high sense perceptual pathway that is stronger than others. So if you're not visual, because visual gets a lot of press and it's not often that everybody's visual, don't worry about it. More people are often surprised about their capacity to physically experience something that's going on with somebody on a physical level and get information from that as opposed to having to quote see something. So it's just learning that about oneself. So I'm going to switch to my share again.
Yeah, that's great to emphasize that everybody has this
Mhm.
ability. And some for some people it may be more they hear something, right? Or some people
Mhm.
might even smell or taste,
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
All these different senses can show up differently for each of us when we're doing that work.
Yeah, I was working with somebody one time out in the woods, and we were doing this ritual process work, and all of a sudden I smelled cigar smoke, and I think, okay, it's either melanoma because he's crossed over and he smoked a cigar, or this person that's smoking a cigar is related to you. And so we started talking. It turned out it was their grandfather that taught them all these really important things. They smoked a cigar, and I was like, okay, so your grandfather's here talking to us.
Amazing.
Um,
Yeah.
so the other part, when you start picking up information, there's a kind of a fine tuning. I say, always asking the question, is this mine? So say you get an image or you get a smell or you hear a sound or you have something in your physical body and you say, is this mine? Um, there are kind of three kinds. There's the symbolic information. So if I pick up an image of something that I don't recognize, it may be because it's not my image. Like I don't have any reference for that image, but the person you're working with may very well. And you check it out. Is it the participant symbol and it symbolizes something, or is it diviner symbol? Is it mine? It's like if I see elk, I have a whole interaction and relationship with elk that tells me certain things. So if I'm doing work and elk shows up, it tells me that we're working with a certain kind of information. But if I saw a kangaroo, which I don't usually have any reference for, I would probably ask the person, does this showed up? Does this mean anything to you? And you often find out it does. The other is that the information can be archetypal or universal. Circles, we say, are archetypal. Um, Certain deity figures can carry archetypal information or universal. Um, and then there's literal information that when you see or hear or feel something, like you're literally picking up the thing that is, like in the example I said about the man and the sailboat and the body. And how do you know when it's symbolic or it's literal? Um, and those are part of the things when you get information, you start checking in. Is this mine? Is it symbolic? Is it theirs? Is it symbolic? Or is it literal? Um, and I'll say this about literal. information that I personally have noticed is that when there's literal transmissions of information that comes in, and this is how it is for me. I haven't asked enough people how they experience this. It has a somewhat, I won't say startling, but it tends to kind of take over. It comes in and my mind's over here and it comes in over here and it pulls my attention there. It's like, whoa, where'd that come from? So it has this transmission effect that something has entered my field of awareness that that is different than wherever my attention was. So it has this kind of way it captures my attention. And when I experience things like that very often, if not all the time, for me, it actually is literal. The information that's coming in is literal. Um, the other thing to remember that people sometimes get trapped into thinking is we often apply um, space-time reality to accessing non-space-time reality information. So just because you perceive something and get something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is in this time and in this space. It could be from another time. It can be outside of the space you're in. You don't, as you'll see in doing divination, you don't have to have somebody in front of you. They could be 1,000 miles away. And once you form the intent and the connection with their permission, then you have access to seeing whatever you see or picking up whatever you pick up. And also realizing that information you may be getting may not be from this time. And so you don't make those assumptions either. You just kind of hold it loosely, the time, space, and there could be information from another time. And one of the other little things, the tendency to reference past lives as a focal point of information gathering. Um, it's like applying space-time reality to that, and therefore we put it on a continuum of time information. And I learned from my elders, they say we don't say past, we just say other. That means it's right here, right now, right beside you. Um, and so that's another thing of kind of eliminating the space-time perceiving into when you start working with information. It's just other life information. If I want to spend any time with this one. Yeah, in terms of doing divination work, um, there's the cloth that you're reading. There's the not to get entangled. Like I choose not to know a lot of story about somebody before doing divination. It helps not get it in the way. The items on the spread will say certain things more than others. I'll talk about more about the spread and the items when we get to that. Let's see. We talk about different pathways of perceiving. Is it mind? Is it body sensations, emotions, thoughts, images, auditory, olfactory, memories, lights, colors, physical? It's, all these different pathways that you can assimilate and gather information. In place and time dividing, like divining when you're getting something that's specific to place and time. Remote divinations, meaning you don't have to be with a person, past or future, outside of time. Remembering that it's all connected and not get distracted by where and when, what the information is saying about what is needed. So is another process of divination is that it is to arrive at particular ritual prescriptions that would be helpful for the person, not just to give them information. Ancestors, just a little note on ancestors. Ancestral lineages, what we call ghost versus ancestral helping spirits, accessing the blessings and the medicine of a particular line, and clearing ancestral lines. It's all part of divination work. And then I love this quote by Linda Hogan. That walking, I am listening to a deeper way. Suddenly, all my ancestors are behind me. Be still, they say. Watch and listen. You are the result of the love of thousands.
That's so
There's
beautiful.
so many ways of, I mean, I have countless stories of connecting with helping ancestors and doing divination work. But I want to move toward an experience of divination rather than just talk about it. And Jocelyn has agreed to offer up some questions. Um, so anything, Jocelyn, before I shift, I'm going to move the computer over to the divination spread behind us. And then
Okay.
we'll do a quick snapshot divination, give people an experience of what that's like.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for offering the experiential side of it for all of us as well. That's
Bear
wonderful.
with me as I move around here. I'll put on a different light. I can see better.
Yeah. Can see it. It's always so moving to me, the beautiful pieces in the divination that spread. It's just these shining, beautiful objects, and you can feel the deep meaning that each one holds.
Yes, it is. And these are items I've been gathering or have come to me over there since, I guess, 21 years of doing this.
Mm.
Um, so let me give a little orientation to those that are watching. Adjust my screen. Are you seeing the spread pretty easily, Jocelyn?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. I can see it well.
good. So again, this Cowry Shell Divination spread, all of these items have information that are associated with them. There's an item in there that in this case will represent Jocelyn. Um, and in a moment, once we do an invocation, I'll spread the shells around and Jocelyn will tell me when to stop. I'll pull my hand back. And once I pull my hand back, I'm just going to start reading what I see. And when I say reading what I see, as I say, all of these items refer to something and some information. But more important than what one thing means, it's what I call conversations. So this item here has a particular reference. It's a buckeye. It's about good fortune. But that's less important as to if this were sitting next to this and sitting next to this, those three items sitting together tell a story. That in this case has information about good fortune related to physical health as the key to whatever's going on with the person at this moment. So you can see that's what we call a conversation. So once I spread the shells around, I'll look down and I'll start looking for different conversations that are rising up, and we'll see where the figurine is that represents Jocelyn and what's happening around that. Um, and then all of these things sit on this cosmological wheel. So it's not simply just what's sitting what next to what, but it's also where's it sitting. Um, is it sitting here or here or here or here, sitting in the middle? And what does that tell us? Um, so that's to give you a little context. Um, we look at things like alignment with one's medicine, uh, ancestral influences, helpful or non-helpful, um, and different things. So let's begin with, um, I want you to be thinking about something you want, just, 2 or 3 questions you want to explore, Jocelyn.
Okay.
And get a little bit of smoke going. And I'm going to do an invocation. The Creator, Great Spirit, Great Mystery, we thank you with open hearts and humble hearts and grateful hearts for opening the way for this divination to unfold. With much gratitude, we begin. Ashe. And also with much gratitude, I want to thank my teachers and their teachers before them, and call upon Melodoma and call upon Rocking Bear to assist me in this divination. Thank you for living your lives and for the medicine that you've carried. And thank you to your teachers and their teachers before them that assisted you in learning these ancient ways of listening and guiding. Please help me to see what I alone cannot see, and help me to hear what I alone cannot hear, and help me to speak that which needs to be spoken this day. With much gratitude, I welcome you. Ashe. We call upon the elemental clan, the fire clan people, the water clan people, the earth clan people, the nature clan people, the mineral clan people, the spirits of nature. We call upon your elemental wisdom to offer up any ritual prescriptions that will assist Jocelyn at this time in her life to know where to turn her head next and where to put her feet next as she walks forward into the life of medicine that she came into this world to offer. With much gratitude, we welcome you. Ashe. I call upon my helping spirits, my ancestors that lived well and died well, and that are well at this time. And to my other upper world teachers and lower world guides, Tingan, Timbalu, Wedame, and Baro, genies and contumblies, thank you for your assistance. Thank you for helping me to do this work. And we call upon Jocelyn's ancestral helping spirits, those in her lineage that lived well and died well, and those that walk with her in this life, that assist her in this work. I also call out to Jocelyn's upper world teachers and lower world guides and other allies, guardians, and spirit helpers that walk with this woman and help her to live her life in a good way, in a way that serves her people and brings all of the medicine that she came into this world to offer. Much gratitude, we welcome you. Ashe.
Shay.
Oh, shells, got a double yes, so we can go ahead. So I'm gonna start spinning the shells just for a couple of seconds, Jocelyn. Well, I'll tell you what, first, what do you want to focus on before I move the shells around?
Yes, the question that's coming up is that I am the mom of two teenage girls, one, well, almost teen and teen. So one is 14, one of my daughters, and the other daughter is 11. So I am looking for guidance on how I can best be, I guess, how I can be the best mom and
Mhm.
support for them during this time as they're coming into their teenage years.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start to spin the shells, and just again, within 2 or 3 seconds, you tell me when to stop.
Okay, stop.
Um, okay, this is my pointer. Um, so the first thing I'll look for is the figurine. Um, and what I notice is the figurine is face down, which means it's a position of needing to turn over. Anytime something's face down on the spread, we want it to turn over. Um, and turning over means to open yourself to. Um, and so when I look around, and I'm studying this also in relation to the questions that Jocelyn answered specifically, what I notice around the figurine, if this figurine was to turn over, it's funny that the key that I pulled up in the beginning is sitting right here beside of her. And so if you turned over, um, you would find that um, the part of what's key here to your connection with your daughters is is right there. It's like it's not somewhere you have to go searching. It's like uh, surrendering to it. Um, it's right beside you. And the thing about the key is this is the part of the key we would hold with our fingers. So we insert it into the lock. This is what the key unlocks. Um, and so we'd say, well, Jocelyn, you yourself hold the key because you're connected here to the key. But you're also connected to beneath your feet, you stand on what's called the shaman stone. This is a stone I picked up in Meldoma's village when I went to see his teacher, a lady shaman named Alice. Um, and so would say that being grounded, being standing in this energy uh, is what you are showing your daughters. It is essential that you stand in the truth of this energy that you carry, because that is doesn't mean it's easy for them. What it means is that it teaches them how to stand in that, um, which requires bravery. I remember another story's coming to mind. I don't know if it was Anne Lamott or Brene Brown, one of those type of speakers, um, that said, that with their children, they thought they were supposed to protect them, and then they realized that was impossible to protect them from life's experiences. Um, and even sometimes when the choices that the mom was making even brought difficulty or challenge or pain into their kids' lives. And then what they realized is it wasn't safety that they were supposed to always ensure that their children experienced. It was teaching them to be brave. And I think how we teach our children to be brave is by being brave. And there's something here about standing in um, this medicine that you carry, very specific to be standing on that particular stone. The other is that on the other side of you uh, is you're connected to this fish hook, um, which is associated with the Polynesian culture, which became Hawaiian. And it's about generativity, it's about leadership, it's about power. Um, but in particular, the ancestral line that's connected here to this medicine um, is that of your paternal grandmothers. Um, so, and again, in referencing the question of your children, there's something about your paternal grandmothers that can assist them, either knowledge or story. Um, and I don't mean necessarily paternal grandmother, but the lineage, when I speak of the ancestral lineage of this line here, it's the blessings and the medicine of that particular line has tremendous generativity and power to offer. Um, and I would say, so I think of something around connecting them in that way.
Mhm.
Um, and those things help. There's something there also about connecting to the ocean, to the sea. Feels more like ocean. I say it feels like ocean. Ocean orients me to, in my perceptual awareness, to a certain timeline. And so this is more current, like connecting with them to the sea, even spending time, maybe even literally spending time, take them to the beach, take them to the ocean,
Oh,
spend time with them at the sea. I don't know if there may be some connection here between these grandmothers and this medicine and the ocean that could be
uh,
resourced.
uh-huh.
Um, and that would be important for them to know that this lives within them, like this is part of who they are as well, part of what's available to them. Um, and we say, well, what is if doing all of this act, turns the key, because part of the key that you hold and turn is here. What does the key unlock? Well, interestingly enough, it unlocks something of their father's line. Um, it unlocks, because this is um, wait a minute, let me rephrase it. It unlocks something of your paternal line. So this would be your father's 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 father's. So what we're looking at is both sides of your father's lineage, the paternal and then the paternal grandmothers. So your father's mother and then your father's father's line all the way back. So these two lineage lines are playing an important role here.
Mhm.
Um, and let's see, what else wants to be spoken here? Um, there's a particular ancestral helping spirit. So this dragonfly over here is a specific ancestor. Dragonflies, we say the DNA of dragonflies is like 30 million years old. And so it represents ancestors. The fact that it's right side up means a well in spirit ancestor. And the fact that it's sitting here with the Palo Santo is about blessing. It's sitting in the realm of fire, the realm of ancestors, and it has this ring around it. Um, the ring is a relationship with another in the physical, um, maybe a daughter or daughters, or maybe I would point first relationship to daughters because that's who you asked about. The relationship ring of another in the physical, I usually address that ring toward if they ask about particular relationship. So I would definitely say that this reinforces this, and that there's a particular ancestral helping spirit um, that you have relationship with, and they have relationship with that brings a tremendous blessing
Mhm.
energy. Um,
I have a sense for who that is.
mhm. So
Yeah.
I'm going to pause before I jump on the spread um, to another section. And any comment, anything stirring about anything I've said thus far? We started here with
Oh, yes, everything. I just didn't want to interrupt with, by saying too much, but yes, the ocean, the part about being at the ocean and connecting with the lineage
hmm
through the ocean, that felt really important and really
hmm
powerful.
hmm
Um,
Anything particular about these grandmothers in the ocean and
well, we are gonna be going to uh, England and Scotland this summer, me and my girls and my mom.
hmm beautiful.
And both her, part of her family and part of also my dad's ancestry is from that area.
hmm
So that's really interesting. And we're going to be out on
Yeah.
the islands of Scotland, kind of surrounded by the ocean. So that
hmm
feels really significant.
Okay. So I'm noticing I'm looking at the piece about travel, looking at the piece, I'm looking for pieces associated with Scotland on here. Um, but what's standing out is also there's some pieces that represent children. And since you named the children, I'm now scanning to see where they're showing up. And I find them both here. The geodes on the spread, I have several pieces of geode on the spread, and they represent children. The larger pieces, like this is a geode. Geodes are sparkly on the outside, like this, and they look like that. I mean, on the inside, and look like that on the outside. So when the sparkly side is up, that means they're well. Um, and this is the larger one. So I'd speak. This is your old. This would be your older daughter. This would be your younger daughter.
Okay.
It's interesting here. Let me speak a little bit about what I'm seeing here. It, it's seeming that your older daughter has encountered a disappointment. This is maybe in um, relational context. This
Mhm.
is a piece of driftwood that comes from where the Columbia River intersects the Pacific Ocean. That particular point is called Disappointment Point.
Hmm.
It's the place where Sacagawea led Lewis and Clark to the final,
Oh, wow.
end of the continent there. But the point itself was called Disappointment Point. And so what I see is this little wedge of disappointment is kind of wedged in here.
Mhm.
Um, the fact that she's right side up means that she's working with this. It's uh, it's not completely derailed her.
Mhm.
Um, and there's connection here to your to the maternal line. Like this is the grandmother line on your side. We want to talk about this is the paternal grandmothers. There's connection here with the maternal grandmothers that brings deep healing which is this deep water healing stone. And all of this, they're both in the realm of, on this spread of earth, which is about home, belonging, place, connection. Um, so there's resource of healing support here in this connection here that she feels through the maternal. It would be a similar thing when I was talking about these grandmothers and sharing that. This in particular for your older daughter here. Um,
Okay.
Something there to, in addition to be explored. The but positive in that the geode is face up. Like that's good. So whatever's going on is she's navigating. Um,
That's good to hear. She did have a disappointment, so relationally, so it's good to hear that the geode is facing up.
yeah, she's it's when I see it facing up and I see this and I see all this around it, it's like the disappointment was part of her whatever this relational disappointment was. It was we could say preordained. It's just part of what needs to happen in her life is as she grows and evolves and learns. It's just like okay, this is happening, but this is. It's not like she took a wrong turn and encountered something she wasn't supposed to. You know?
Okay, that's good.
It's part of the evolutionary journey. So, your other daughter is the younger piece, the smaller piece of geode. It too is face up. Um, Interesting, they're both connected. There's two water stones, and they're both water stones are about healing. This is the deep water stone. This is the shallow water stone, and here's your other daughter, and they're both connected individually to a specific lineage line.
Mm.
Um, and this would be Um, and these are both on your mother's side. These are your mother's grandfathers.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Hmm.
so your mom's dad and granddad and great granddad, like that lineage and because they're positioned here with the healing water stone and also the ancestor stone, like there's something of this lineage that brings in um, some important medicine here for her healing. But again, she's in Earth. They're both in the place of Earth, which is about family and home and connection, and they're both associated with healing. So um, it's almost like whatever you're doing, just keep following that intuitive. It's their position. They're not in a there are no rituals of repair here needed. It's just there. This is what's happening. This is good.
That's good to hear.
The other interesting thing about your younger daughter has to do with this snake vertebrae here. Which I'm going to scan around. There's one other thing I want to find that's connected to the snake vertebrae, which is, I can spot it. Sometimes you can't spot things. Okay. Um, the snake vertebrae is medicine is medicine that's coming to you specifically to assist you at this time. So there's something here this younger daughter uh, carries
Mhm.
that that is actually assisting you. Um, it's like a role reversal. It's like when I say we're not really our children's teachers; they become our teachers.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um, so there's something here that she is connected with this snake medicine that is medicine that's coming to assist you at this time um,
interesting.
to help you there.
I
Some
I would say she carries snake medicine for sure.
okay,
Younger
okay.
daughter.
Yeah, it's about transformational medicine and transmutational medicine.
Mm.
Um, but its position here in relation to you yourself is that okay, this is actually part of what's assisting you,
Mm.
that which she carries that way. Um, so I know we're running over with our time frame. As I say, the divination spread can go on. It's typically an hour and a half reading, and there's a lot more I could say, but I know this is a snapshot divination.
Yes.
Anything else you want to comment on before we close out the spread? Anything I've said that you want to comment about or ask about and it's a way of closing the divination reading.
Yeah, well, I want to say thank you so much for this. It's really, really so powerful. I highly recommend those watching if you feel called to have a divination reading with Cater. I want to say too that the when you said the best way to teach your children to be brave is to be brave.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's something I'm living and working with. So thank you for saying that. It was really meaningful to me. And the part about the key,
Hmm.
I think you said it's near, the key is near
Yeah.
what needs to be unlocked, and it's like we're, the things are in position. We're,
Hmm.
we're on the right track together,
Yeah.
me and my daughters. That's very helpful to hear.
I'd say in divination is not to simply provide information, but to provide a particular ritual prescription to address the question. The primary ritual prescription, I would say, you've already got scheduled, which is taking your kids to the ocean and this trip to Scotland, um, and to the sea, and spending time with them near whether it's even before Scotland and going to the ocean here in this country, and spending time with them and connecting here with these grandmothers is something, again, here that's going to unlock something here.
Okay.
Um, but definitely spending time with them at the sea will be is key for all three of you.
Mhm.
Um, I would say as far as a ritual prescription to recommend, um,
Okay.
and maybe
That's
even when you're at the water or at the ocean with them, to even do some sharing around that particular um, this particular line of grandmothers and what they carry, what are the blessings and the medicine of that line that live within all three of you.
mhm.
Yeah, that, like, somehow having that be delivered in connection with the ocean, with the sea, is important.
Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful.
All right, so I'm going to shift from the divination spread. I will do a closing invocation, but I'll do that after we've signed off. So save our time together here. Um,
Okay. Wow. Well, thank you. That was really powerful, and I'm sure also very helpful for everybody else to see and experience how this works and how um, you can guide them, in tapping into these truths in a divinatory way. And this, Cater, just a quick question about this, the lineage of this divination tradition. Is there anything that you want to say about that, where it comes from? And
um, Cowry Shell Divination. I mean, different cultures work with the spirit of Cowry Shell as far as a divining tool, spirit of. So I acknowledge it's not just one culture.
Mhm.
Um, I was introduced to Cowry Shell Divination through Meladoma's lineage in Burkina Faso, West Africa, back in 2003 when I first made my first cloth and began working with this. Um, so it's through Melodoma Somé, and then his uncle, I believe, was a primary diviner teacher for him, his grandfather, and that lineage of teachings that came through him. Some of the other information I share with you about high sense tracking perception, I learned a lot of that through Rocking Bear, doing work, and mostly I would say mostly the people I've worked with, and just the clients. I've For 40 years, I've been doing healing work of one kind or another since I was 25 and became a therapist, and then shifted to doing this and learned so much from all the amazing people that I've worked with. But those are in terms of cowrie shell divination, it would be primarily through melanoma, and then but many of the practices of intuitive tracking and knowing and strengthening, learning that from many different places.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that and
And
everything that you've shared today. It's so inspiring.
so if you're interested in a divination, let me share this on there's two websites of associated. This is my personal website. When you pull up caterbrown.com, it looks like that. Waterfall. And if
I
you
love
go to
that waterfall, by the way. That is such a beautiful place. It's,
you've been there, Looking Grass Falls. Yeah.
Looking Glass Falls. Yeah, I've been there 2 different times. It is so beautiful there.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an incredible. I can't get the water. Usually when I pull up the image, it moves. So it's a
Mm.
video, but um yeah, there's a place in that waterfall where we've done some rituals that if you go up, swim up to it, and then go under, you can actually come up behind it. There's an
Oh,
indentation in the
wow.
stone you can lean back into. So this massive wall of water is kind of like falling in front of your face.
Wow.
Um, I
Amazing.
didn't give you that ritual, but you might want to do that. So
If we
this
come to
is
Asheville this summer, the girls and I can do that.
yeah. So you click on divinations, and this is where you would read about receiving a divination. If you're just interested, if you want to actually um, learn divination work, um, there's a divination training that there's 3 different sessions this summer in June and July, and then later, and then wrapping up in December. And so this is a different web page, Rites of Passage Council, and you would go here and you click on divination training. It will take you to this page, and it shows you more information there as far as if you wanted to, if you were called as a diviner to deepen into this particular divination method, you could go there.
Amazing. And I will be sure to include that direct link, those links you showed us right below this video here so people can easily find them. And I can also just confirm that any training with Cater will be a very profound and moving experience. So I highly recommend
Thank you,
these
Jocelyn.
beautiful
Appreciate it.
trainings that you offer. Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us for this conversation and dive into high sense perceiving and divination work. And my best to all of you, and go well. Hope to see you all down the road.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And we will also include your free gift too. We
Yeah.
have here your audio version of Singing Stone,
Mhm.
a story as told by Cater, which is a very beautiful and powerful story. Did you want to say anything about that free gift, Cater?
Um, it's it's a drumming audio story. It means I'm telling it with a drum, so I'm drumming and talking at the same time. Um, but yeah, I just invite you to take a listen and see if it awakens something within each of you, something you remember, or if it calls you. We talked about navigating those landscapes of threshold.
Mhm.
This is the story of the initiatory journey. So I'd be curious for those of you that listen to it, uh, what action does it guide you to take after having heard that story?
Okay, wonderful. So that link as well to the free gift will be right below this video. And I hope you'll all go and claim that free gift and listen to this powerful story and see what moves in you. And Cater, I just can't thank you enough for all of this. Thank you. It's just been a wonderful conversation. So
Thank you, Jocelyn.
much
Thank you for the
gratitude.
opportunity to have this time together with everyone.
Yes, yes, likewise. And everybody listening, I hope you've received so much from this conversation and seeing the divination actually happening here. I hope it was really powerful for you. So much love, everybody. I'll see you again soon in another interview. And bye for now.